Assistant Honorary Holiness Professor Vijay Kumar. These are registrar
Pretty subject. 그래도 중요.
나 근데 내리니가 나.
어?
나와.
나와.
나와. 성걸린 정보.
얘는 주게. 아, 얘는 주게. 역시 흡수된水. 我从姚师说，跟这边有关的，特别像那空地嘛，一起说，是不是？啊，就特别明显，我都管知道。
So these are all our students.
Hello.
All our students, sir.
Right.
Professor Subbarao, who is also. Angels, my young student friends. Could we have asked for a better gift in this month of joy and cheer than the benediction that we are going to receive from His Holiness the Dalai Lama this morning? We are blessed, sir. We are honored. And this is a day to be reckoned with. This is a day with a difference. We are grateful to you, sir, and we bow down our head in reverence to you and extend a warm welcome to the precincts of this wonderful institution, which was established in 1988. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. Therefore, it is the power of love and not the love of power that should guide us. And we are grateful to you for providing the leadership. And may I take this opportunity to request Professor Nandiman, the Registrar of the National Law School of India University, and Professor Malar, one of the senior-most professors and former registrar, to welcome and felicitate His Holiness Dalai Lama. Well, we are all here to receive the benediction of His Holiness Dalai Lama. I don't want to take away your quality time, and it's my privilege to request Professor Vijay Kumar to introduce His Holiness Dalai Lama.
Good morning to everyone. In the reincarnation of the previous 13th Dalai Lama, Thupten Gyatso. 1989, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his non-violent struggle for the liberation of Tibet. He has consistently advocated policies of non-violence even in the face of extreme aggression. He also became the first Nobel laureate to be recognized for his concern for global environmental problems. His Holiness has traveled to more than 68 countries and has received more than 150 awards and recognition. I thought I will read at least the 10 leading ones, but I think due to paucity of time, I would like to skip that. He has authored or co-authored more than 110 books. His Holiness has held dialogues with heads of different religions and participated in many events promoting interreligious harmony and understanding. On May 29th, 2011, His Holiness signed into a law the formal transfer of his temporal power to the democratically elected leader. This brought to an end the 368-year-old tradition of the Dalai Lamas being both spiritual and temporal head of Tibet. Something very important for the students of this law school. When His Holiness is at home in Dharamshala, he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock, by the time I think many of you go to bed or planning to go to bed, he begins his day with prayers, meditations and prostrations until 5 a.m. I would like to just share with you three main commitments of His Holiness Dalai Lama. Firstly, at the level as a human being, His Holiness' first commitment is the promotion of human values such as compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, contentment and self-discipline. All human beings are the same. We all want happiness and do not want suffering. His Holiness refers to these human values as secular ethics. He remains committed to talk about the importance of these human values and share them with everyone he meets. Secondly, at the level of a religious practitioner, His Holiness' second commitment is the promotion of religious harmony and understanding among the world's major religious traditions. Despite philosophical differences, all major world religions have the same potential to create good human beings. It is therefore important for all religious traditions to respect one another and recognize the value of each other's respective traditions. As far as one truth, one religion is concerned, this is relevant on an individual level. However, for the community at large, several truths, several religions are also necessary. Thirdly, His Holiness being the Tibetan and carries the name the Dalai Lama. Therefore, his third commitment is to work to preserve Tibet's Buddhist culture, a culture of peace and non-violence. The Dalai Lama has been awarded the honoris causa at the University of Mysore last Tuesday, where he delivered a convocation address and emphasized on moral principles in modern education at that convocation. Today, His Holiness Dalai Lama would be addressing the faculty and the students on a very important theme, universal values and the laws. I deem it a privilege to present before you His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Thank you very much, Professor Vijay Kumar. My religion is very simple. My religion is kindness. Practice compassion. A person who is deeply influenced by Mahatma Gandhi and Gautam Buddha, may I kindly request Your Holiness to come and bless our National Law School of India University community. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir.
This light.
You want to switch it off or?
No. The white, strong white, not good for my eye. and I cannot see the audience face. And also, I cannot see among the audience some may be sleeping. So I have to sort of see of the audience. As you please sit down. Please you introduce my main commitment. Firstly, as a human being, I always stress I am one of the 7 billion human beings we are sane. I really believe there are 7 billion human beings mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. We all want happy life. Nobody wants a problem. So we all have the right to be happy individual. Now, in order to become happy, I think physical comfort, you see, brings some kind of temporary sort of satisfaction on sensorial level, not mental level. The genuine peace and mental level, if you sort of some experience, then physical level, sensorial level, doesn't matter. Even seeing something very kasota, a very negative thing, or hear something very negative thing, won't disturb your mind. So here is quite clear. The materialistic life, very much emphasis, or I think emphasis, just temporary satisfaction on sensorial level. So, my one sort of serious commitment is try to make clear the ultimate source of happiness, joyfulness is mental level, satisfaction or joyfulness. So irrespective whether believer or non-believer, as I mentioned earlier, 7 billion human beings are same human being. They all have same brain, a different color, different religion, different family, such superficial level differences. As a human being, human brain is concerned same. One time in Soweto, South Africa, soon after South Africa, you see, get the democracy. Nelson Mandela become president. I had opportunity to visit there. So I went on a Soweto native black African family. And there I express, now you get democratic constitution. Wonderful. But mentally, it takes more time, you see, to develop confidence. We are equal. White people, black people, we are same. And with that self-confidence, you black people must work hard. When I mentioned that, among the family member, one introduced himself as a teacher. And he told me, oh, we black African, mentally we are inferior. So we cannot sort of become equal. At that moment, I really feel because of that much sad. And then I told him, I argued with him, this is totally wrong. If we go to brain specialist, ask any differences in our brain, the scientists will say no differences. Then also you say, according our own sort of experience, some is a Chinese hardliner. They consider Tibetan backward. Not all Chinese. Chinese people, I think, wonderful people, hardworking. As far as hardworking is concerned, I think Chinese people are more sort of hardworking than Indian people. I think, firstly, it's the hot climate. So, we prefer relax. And Chinese, you see, I think generally, wherever they live, they carry Chinese cultural heritage. So eventually, wherever Chinese community they are, whether in America, whether in Europe, and previously in Calcutta also, the Chinese community there are. So they carry, they eventually, you see, create Chinatown. So often, you see, I suggested in England or in America, New York, I said, when I meet the Indian friend, the large number of Indians, so you should create India Town. You have sort of plenty of, how to say, a unique thing about India to show world. And particularly, you see, you can make, I think, a significant contribution regarding promotion of religious harmony. Your own country, I think over 2,000 years, beside homegrown different religious tradition, Zoroastrian, or say Judaism, and Christian, Muslim, say from outside, all settled in this country. Occasionally there's some problem. That's understandable. I usually see telling over a billion human being in this country is human being, not God. So some mischievous people must be there. some sort of sad stories is quite understandable. But overall, India, over a billion populated nation, I think religious harmony is really wonderful. Really wonderful. So therefore, when I met some Indian community, such as Diwali or some other sort of festival, invite your friend. And you see, Indian origin in Muslim countries, invite. And show the 1,000-year-old India's tradition of religious harmony. So it is worthwhile to create India Town. So far, nobody has created that. I think Indian vegetarian food, I think really delicious, wonderful. I think as far as vegetarian food is concerned, I think Indian vegetarian food is better than Chinese vegetarian food. Non-vegetarian, of course, Chinese food is very, very good. So, you see, China and Chinese people, as a people, I think wonderful. But there's some of these, you see, officials, very narrow-minded. And sometimes I jokingly, you see, telling people, including President Obama, I'm mentioning some of these Chinese hardliners, you see, they usually in human brain, There's part of human brain which can develop common sense. Now that part of brain missing. So I told Obama, the half joke of course, like Obama, you see these people, one way you see knows the reality, but at the same time close relation with China. So these people, so I told him, you should put that part of brain which usually common sense is developed, put in their brain. So in any way, I told, I said that, I said a family member, the teacher, I told, we Tibetan also, you see, by those hardliner Chinese, they consider we barbaric way. Barbaric, very sort of uneducated and full of blind faith like that. So then, but when we Tibetan have the opportunity, we can make equal. I told him. So it is very important to keep self-respect, self-confidence. There are long sort of argument with him. Then finally, he, with a long sigh, like that, and then he whispered, told me, now he convinced we are safe. So that moment, I felt tremendous relief. At least one human brother's mind, mental attitude change. So the development, successful self-confidence is very essential. So in any way, as a human being, I always trying to promote self-confidence and work hard. And then a lot of problem which we are facing today is actually we are too much emphasis on secondary level of differences. Different country, different race, different color, different religion. So we too much emphasis on these. So unnecessary conflict there. So these, obviously, these are problems which we human beings created. Of course, nature disaster, these are something different. But, and obviously, killing human being, violence is our own creation. So now, say, think, what is the real source of these man-made problems? Is we too much emphasis on secondary level of differences, including religion. So only remedy is not more money or more weapon. No. Only remedy is sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. We consider entire 7 billion human beings as a human brothers, sisters. There's no basis to quarrel, to kill, to bully, irrespective of the believer or non-believer. So that's my number one commitment. Wherever I talk, meet people, I always talking these things. Then the second commitment, you already just made very clear, religious harmony. Last now over 57 years, so I learned this country's one great thing is religious harmony. So since this most populated democratic country can keep religious harmony, so therefore the rest of the world can follow religious harmony. That's my second commitment. Third commitment, as a Tibetan, you mentioned political responsibility. Since 2011, I totally sort of retired. All these matter now handled by elected political leadership. So this, not only myself is retired, but also almost 4th century old, you clearly mentioned, almost 4th century old tradition, Dalai Lama institution automatically become head of both temporal and spirituality. Now that formally, voluntarily, happily, proudly ended. So sometimes I jokingly tell people, you see, this system, you see, start from 5th Dalai Lama. So suppose I'm 14th Dalai Lama, so some sort of tradition start by 5th Dalai Lama. If he reappear, what he will say? But then, in reality, no danger, his reappearance. So, I can decide. Okay. Like that. So since then, regarding Tibet, number one, protection of Tibetan environment. You see, one Chinese environmentalist, he wrote one article. He mentioned for global warming, the effect from Tibetan plateau as much as South Pole and North Pole. So he described Tibetan plateau as third pole. And obviously, when we look map, major river, like Yangtze River, Yellow River, from China, and the Bangladesh, then you see the Kasachuti, Venom, also Brahmaputra, not Brahmaputra, another sort of river, major river, Mekong River. Mekong River. And then India, Brahmaputra and Ganges and some other river. And then Pakistan, what called Indus. Indus River. So I think over billion human life depend on these rivers. So rivers, the source of, ultimate source of these rivers from Tibet. So special take care about the Tibetan environment is not only concern for 6 million Tibetan people, but over billion human beings' life. So, and then Tibetan culture of peace, culture of non-violence. And that, I think before Buddhism reached Tibet, I think we Tibetan, lifestyle, firstly nomad, then something like Babarian. I think we are quite similar, the Mongolian and Tibetan. I think we have many sort of similar sort of life because of the pattern, like that. So Mongolian, even Buddhism, you see, reached there, still you see a lot of sort of warrior, right? Tibet also, I think before Buddhism reached, like that. Then, eventually, in the 8th century, Buddha Dharma reached Tibet. That Buddha Dharma, particularly in Nalanda tradition, 8th century, the Tibetan emperor invited, at that period, best sort of master of Buddha Dharma. His name, Shantarakshita, a great monk and great scholar and great logician. He's writing some philosophy, mathematical philosophy, and also logic. We still study. So since he introduced Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition, not through China. Of course, since 7th century, Tibetan emperor married with Chinese princess. So, since then, Buddha Dharma already has become something significant in Tibet. But then 8th century, the Tibetan emperor, he preferred, as far as Buddha Dharma is concerned, it is more authentic to bring directly from India. So he invited Nalanda, at that time, topmost sort of the scholar, Shantarakshita. So he introduced Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition. Now today it is quite clear. I think among about less than 1 billion Buddhists in this planet, I think the Nalanda tradition, including logic, I think only Tibetan tradition keeps these things. No other country. Chinese Buddhist brothers and sisters, of course, they follow of Nalanda tradition, but not much rigorous study. We Tibetan, I think at least 20, 30 years rigorous study. The root text memorize. My own case, 6, 7 years, I already started memorizing with great reluctance. I quite lazy student, no interest for study. My interest only play. So my teacher, my tutor, you see, kept one weep. At that time, my elder brother and myself studied together. So my teacher, you see, kept 2 whips. One whip, yellow color. That is suppose holy whip for holy student, Dalai Lama. Another whip is ordinary. That's to my elder brother. So I know if holy whip use, I know something different to holy pain. So same pain. so therefore, you see, out of sort of fear, I carry these sort of study, memorizing. Now most of these text, because of the root text, now gradually because of forgetting. But the understanding about the meaning, I think, increasing. Time passes, and more daily basis practice, as you mentioned, serious sort of thinking. We call vipassana, meditation or vipassana, not just shamatha, vipassana, analytical meditation. Analyze. Buddha himself is to make clear to us, oh, my follower, monk, scholar, should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. That's a very scientific way. I think most of religion, of course, wonderful, I respect. It really helped humanity immensely. However, a tradition which emphasizes investigation and experiment is more important rather than faith. It's, I think, quite unique about Buddha Dharma, general, particularly Nalanda tradition. So among the Nalanda top scholars, some Buddha's own teaching, they reject it. Like Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti in their writing clearly mentioned, oh, such Buddha's teaching, we cannot accept literally. If we accept that, it goes against reason. That's, I think, quite unique about the Nalanda approach. So we should follow that way. So therefore, I think now today, so I think today I notice, you see, that we, student of Nalanda tradition, we have sort of competitive way.
Competent. We are competent.
We are competent.
We are competent.
Go with science side by side.
Competent.
Competitive. Right? So some scientific finding, like world around sun, the moon, see, great differences of great distance. I mean, because of differences of distance. Abhidhammakosha Karika, wrote by one Nalanda master, Bosuband. He says, same level, sun, the moon, go same level, and world is flat in the center of Mount Meru, with sort of showing respect to that great master. I cannot no longer accept his sort of description. So sometimes I jokingly, you see, telling or expressing, when Bosuband, you see, wrote that text, his age, logically, I mean, quite old, so his eyesight not very good, but one cloudy day, he tried to look sun. Then he thought, oh, size of sun, more or less same. He don't know distance. So therefore, he mentioned size, moon and the sun, almost the same size and same level. So these, although Buddhist texts mention these things, we have liberty to reject. Like that. So therefore, Tibetan Buddhist tradition is not just recite something and some sort of puja, some ritual. No. Rigorous study. And now today, we have opportunity to discuss with scientists, mainly cosmology, neurobiology, physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. So sometimes I'm mentioning the psychology is concerned, knowledge about emotion, knowledge about mind is concerned. Indian psychology, highly developed. So compare Indian sort of, what's the highly developed psychology, compare that, modern psychology looks like kindergarten level. So therefore, number of scientists from the West, mainly from America and Europe, they're really showing genuine eagerness to learn from these ancient sort of, what's the Indian knowledge, right? Knowledge about mind, about emotion. As I mentioned earlier, besides sensorial sort of consciousness, this sometimes we call sixth consciousness. There are different levels of subtlety, like that. So therefore, these are, I really feel, really worthwhile, even as an academic subject, not religious subject, academic subject, really worthwhile to preserve. So, regarding Tibet, another my commitment is preservation of these sophisticated knowledge about mind and about sort of certain concept of like quantum physics, like that. So that's my, although the gentleman introduced me, I think very thoroughly, and a few mistakes. So there's now young student, particularly student of famous law university. You are very, very important. Basically, I always see describing you, these young people, young student, you are generation of 21st century. We, including some professors, you also, I think, we are generation of 20th century. So our century already gone. So we also gradually say bye-bye. So now the generation of 21st century, you are the generation of people who create better world. And firstly, this 21st century should create a century of peace. Peace does not mean that there's no sort of source of conflict. Conflict remain there. So in order to create peaceful century, we must create this century should be century of dialogue, not century of violence, century of weapon. No, dialogue. Whenever some disagreement comes, and sit together, consider other also human brothers, sisters, then talk on the basis of, I think, in the principle of mutual respect and reconciliation. Any problem we should solve any problem through dialogue. So this 21st century should be century of dialogue in order to achieve century of peace. Century of peace. So this is my responsibility is talk. Your responsibility is implement. So sometimes I jokingly, telling the later part of 21st century, then I may be either in hell or heaven. Even in hell, I will get some sort of permission from the authority of the hell. Some leave, and return to world. I very much eager to watch the 21st generation. You are really implementing these things or not. If you implementing seriously, faithfully, then when I return to hell, I will report, now time come, the space of hell can reduce. Other hand, the world is still going on like today, killing. Then I will report, even the size of hell should increase. So there are a number of people ready to come. So therefore, please, the young people, young brothers, sisters, the generation of 21st century, please work hard and to create peaceful world, compassionate world. So then, when I come and check, and then it should be, my report is now world better, peaceful, compassionate. So eventually hell can close. I think hell may shift on other galaxies, at least not this one, not this world. Okay. So now I prefer, interaction, question and answer. I will sit there.
Yeah, if you have any specific question, please stand up, identify yourselves. And I would appreciate if you could come forward because we have got only 2 microphones, right?
Yeah.
Who is the first one? Yes, please come forward. Come.
Graduation from Lucknow, and I'm here doing LLM. My name is Kumar Salvaraghuvanshi. My question is something beyond our discussion. It is like you are talking about the youth of the country who will be building the next generation. But the problem with this youth is the drugs. Majority of the youth is addicted to the drugs. Even the majority of population is of youth, but we youth are addicted towards the drug. what message you would like to give to the youth so that they can prevent themselves?
May have a better answer. I feel this is not only in India, in many countries, see the drug problem. And
Stand here, stand here.
alcohol. So this clearly shows, you see, lack of inner peace. That also, you see, lack of knowledge how to bring inner peace. When we have anger, hatred, or fear, this also is a part of our life, our mind. But equally, we also equipped, also equipped by nature, the antidote of these destructive emotions. So, irrespective of whether believer or religious minded or not, we should have fuller knowledge about the whole system of emotion. Then, when we develop anger or irritation, you see, we can use certain sort of certain emotion which can reduce that. So therefore, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know whether I mentioned it here or not, I usually telling the existing modern education something lacking about the education, about our inner value, education regarding our emotion, that is lacking. So now some scientists say that in order to develop healthy body, it is very important to develop healthy mind. So a healthy mind with drug, wrong. Or with alcohol, wrong. Mere education also uses sometimes create more sort of ideas. Then that also may create more anxiety, more stress. So education alone will not answer that. So we, in education, we need some sort of lesson about how to what is the whole system of our emotion. Usually I am telling, you see, we, part of our education, we also learning the hygiene of physical. So now, similarly, we need hygiene of emotion. Then, you see, when these sort of too much stress, too much anxiety and fear, and then jealousy, these, you see, can reduce with more awareness of whole system of emotion. That's my view.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Holiness, I have a question. It might seem a little juvenile, but I've always wanted to ask you this. So when you told us that we are all the same, we all have the same brain, the differences are very superficial. I've always wanted to know this, like what makes you different? What makes you, I mean, I ask this with great respect. What makes the Dalai Lama different? What makes you holy? What makes you the Dalai Lama? That is my question.
When I born, same way, nothing differences. I think my doctor, when I got some problem, physical problem, doctor treated me like any normal human being. No special doctor or no special treatment as Dalai Lama. The jaundice problem, few years ago, you see, it developed. A lot of stone in my gallbladder. So finally, remove. Okay. hospital. So my name, Dalai Lama, no help. So, so as I mentioned earlier, when I can study, I am quite lazy student. If at that time some truly holy boy, then I think should not be like that. Okay. I prefer, I myself, another human being. I think my brain quite sharp. This, because of training, we use extensively logic. Someone told, even sort of like, scripture say something. We're not ready to say yes, yes, no. Why? Always is a good skepticism. So that very, very helpful. You see, to sharpening our mind. Just faith. Whatever Guru says, yes. Whatever scripture says, yes. That, I think, of course, single point of faith also has its own beauty. In some cases, good. I think in general, humanity is concerned. I think that's
Right. Okay.
In certain Buddhist philosophical traditions, it's considered that the plant diet is more superior than the animal diet, animal meat diet. But both extraction of plant food and animal food involves killing and taking of life, like reaping of crops and killing of animals. So how can the animal food and should be morally equal and plant food?
According to Indian different tradition, like Jain, if you consider these flowers also not only life, but also certain level of mind or conscious, I don't know, certain feeling. So they very much emphasis not so much to destroy these vegetables, these things. But the Buddhist, they have life, but no experience of pleasure and pain, because they have no consciousness of mind. That's Buddhist way. Then obviously, for one time you say, I heard say one sort of flower, another flower. See, the one flower to one flower always sort of scold, criticism. Another same flower praising. Then the flower which you see praising, you see, grow better. I don't know. That's I don't know. If that's the sort of scientifically sort of proved, then we have to take. Otherwise, we do not consider these. But at the same time, we must respect all form of life, vegetable, tree. So during a month, during monsoon retreat, the one precept is we should not cut grass like that.
Gelton, final year. The first rule of Buddhism is you cannot have dual loyalty. You are either of the Sangha or of the samsara. So when one leaves the Sangha and goes back to the samsara, which is the deity that presides over the samsara? Because my personal research, I have come to conclusion that it's Murugan, the Kartike. Am I correct or?
I don't know.
No, but
According to Buddhism, life, the basis of life is continuation of consciousness, continuation of mind, subtle mind. So mind must come from previous mind. So there must be continuation. Any substantial cause, any sort of matter, not to this matter, substantial cause must be same in nature. So particle must develop the continuity of previous substance. So this body finally during Big Bang, very subtle particles there. Even before Big Bang, there must be causes of Big Bang. So there must be particles. So these today's my body is a substantial cause during Big Bang, before Big Bang, the continuation of substantial cause. Yeah, no beginning. So similarly, consciousness, no form, just feeling, or just sort of collective, no experience and collective, so without form. So it also changing, momentarily changing. Therefore, it must be causes. In the cause, the conditional cause and substantial cause. Now, for example, eye consciousness. The conditional cause is eye organ. The substantial cause is continuation of consciousness. So from that sort of approach, the Buddhist and also Jain, and also I think one part of Sankhya, no beginning of consciousness, of continuation. So non-Buddhist, there is no beginning of Atma. And also when we reach Nirvana, the non-Buddhist school of thought, the Atma. So Buddhists, you do not accept Atma. Atma means there is some kind of soul or some kind of self beside this body combination. So Buddhism say the self is mere discipline on the combination of mind and body. So in any way, the Atma or the self, no beginning. So therefore, no creator. Jainism, Buddhism, one part of Scientism, no creator.
Can I?
So no room, some God or something, some mysterious things who create the world. According to Buddhism, it's nonsense.
Your Holiness, Pranam. My name is Pranav Tripathi. I am from LLM batch. I studied about the plight and vulnerability of Tibetan refugees, and the Indian government, as I studied, has taken so many steps to protect them, but nothing concrete has been done so far. So what according to you steps should be and measures should be taken to protect them and to rehabilitate them?
I think the last 57 years, it's out of India. 1959, when I reached India, and then immediately all over, we, I think, around 80,000, like that, 50,000, ticket, 50,000. Then continuously, refugee come. So then we asked, come to India, Pandit Nehru. Pandit Nehru since 1956, I know we know each other. So he developed special sort of feeling towards Tibet. So when I asked him, now more Tibetan refugees now already in this country, so eventually they should settle on land. That is resettlement project come. At that time, I think early 60s, Pandit Nehru wrote a letter to some chief minister. Then the best response come from Mr. Nijalingappa. So now this state, Karnataka state, is the home of Tibet, the biggest number of Tibetan refugees. Now over 40,000. Yeah, and not only refugee, but also you see the historical sort of importance of monastic institution. You see, some of them re-established in India, now in Karnataka state. So actually tomorrow, next few days, I will be there. And I think altogether about 10,000 students. These students, as I mentioned earlier, you see, rigorous sort of study, at least 20 years, step by step. So then become a scholar. So therefore, you see, these monk students, about 10,000, these are the seed of our knowledge, of knowledge tradition. No other Buddhist country. They carry some chanting and quite simple, like Four Noble Truths and the 37 practice. And Vinaya concerned, same. But philosophical view, the Sanskrit tradition is much vaster, much complicated, deeper. So although Chinese, as I mentioned earlier, it's the same tradition, but they are not much rigorously studied. So only in Tibet. And then also logic in Tibetan tradition, because Chandra Rakshita himself, great logician, he introduced Tibetan Buddhism according to Nalinda. So we also study rigorously what is logic. That's only available in Tibetan tradition, no other Buddhist tradition. And traditionally, Mongolia is the same tradition. So I think government of India and the concerned state government, particularly the Karnataka state government, I think really immense help. So I think, you see, I'm quite sure this help will continue. And then Tibetan people inside Tibet, you see, their spirit is concerned very strong. Over 60 years, the Chinese art miner, they utilize various methods, torture, killing. I think the last 60 years, I think the Tibetan killed over 300,000. That's one Chinese lady who carries some research, and her sort of work entirely based on Chinese official record. I think since early 60s, in the 60s, he found over 300,000 people killed in military action. Then death due to torture, starvation. Altogether, maybe nearly at 1 million. So we suffer a lot. Dependence, spirit. Now, 3-4 generations past, the younger generations of spirit, even stronger than the previous generation. Quite logical, much suppression, and eventually discrimination also comes. For example, in a hotel, in Beijing or some big cities, when dependent come, the hotel sort of concerned because of the manager, they don't do something. Take it.
They don't allow Tibetans to stay in the hotel.
So there is sort of discrimination, not that. So very difficult. But Communist Party of people from China during 4 eras, now 5 eras, Chairman Mao's era, Deng Xiaoping era, Jiang Zemin era, Hu Jintao era, now the 5th, the Xi Jinping era. It's the same party, but there are much change. For example, Deng Xiaoping, during Mao era, the even he gave sort of one name, 所学人物是所学人物，但是revisionist, against revisionist. So Cultural Revolution also you see happened. He very much knows about the socialist concept, these things. Then Deng Xiaoping come. Deng Xiaoping, as far as the economy, money is concerned, his famous sort of expression, white cat, black cat, doesn't matter, so long catch mice. So eventually now China, a lot of black cat. So now they still with the name, keep socialist country, but reality, capitalist. So the huge gap which is poor happened. You know, another sort of Nobel laureate, the former, now he no longer, the president of Israel. We know because of the very well, each other, you know very well. Shimon Peres. Oh, his English accent is very difficult. But his knowledge of really. So he used to very much sympathetic towards Chinese because of socialist country. So then later, one occasion we together, I asked him, what China now, socialist? Or what do you think? Then he immediately said, no longer socialist country. Worst kind of capitalist. He mentioned that, like that. So these are, I think, the communist, same party, but you see, they can act according to new reality. So then Jiang Zemin comes. Not much change. The later part of the Deng Xiaoping era, we also developed direct contact with Chinese government. Because of that, we also have the opportunity to send some fact-finding delegation since 1979 and 2 years. Then eventually, the democratic movement started in China, some of the Chinese university. Then, finally, Tiananmen from Assam. Tiananmen University suppression happened. Then there are all sort of attitudes, policy become heart. And late Huyan, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful comment. He dismissed when he died. And at that time, the Prime Minister of Tanzania also was dismissed. So then, after the Jiang Zemin come, we re-established our contact, but not much fruit. Then Wu Jintao era, 10 years more sleeping, no any initiative. Now Xi Jinping come. Xi Jinping, he, I think, really rigorously fight corruption. Really, realistic, you see. Then meantime, you see, so far not one so big change. We'll see. Sometimes it looks more authoritarian sort of system standard. So we'll see the next year, November, the 19th party meeting takes place. Some my Chinese friends, they say, oh, after that, there's some member of Politburo, some are now reached their age, now time for retirement. So new Politburo member from younger generation come. So some of my friends say, oh, there is possibility, some change. So we'll see, wait and see. So therefore, my main point is, things are changing. And anyway, the totalitarian system, closed society, no freedom of speech, no freedom of thought, no freedom of press, very difficult to survive. I think as far as Marxism is concerned, as far as socio-economic theory is concerned, I'm Marxist. I really accept the Marxist theory, and particularly issues of concept in economy, equal distribution. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. But then, that is a wonderful sort of concept, I think, spoiled by Lenin. Circumstances is a civil war, an immediate First World War, and within Russia, Tsar, serious civil war. So, in Lenin's mind, I think the wartime way of thinking, that's very relevant at that moment. That had become part of Marxism. So Lenin spoiled true, genuine, wonderful Marxism. I feel like that.
Pranam, Your Holiness. My name is Ayushi. I'm in 4th year. I wanted to know how a person who meditates can balance emotions with spirituality, because one school of thought is that you should rise above all emotions, fear, jealousy, happiness, failure, everything. But the other school of thought is that spirituality is to experience every emotion very intensely. So is there a reconciliation that is possible between being extremely emotional and being extremely spiritual?
Of course, I respect all major religions. That means theistic religion, as briefly already touched, the creator, also creator. And Buddhism, Jainism, and one Sangha philosophy, it's a no concept of creation, rather self-creation. Then within these three, two other, we should have the concept of Atma. Buddhism, only Buddhism, Anatta. And then, so within Buddhism, the different school of thought in philosophical field, mainly the Vivashik philosophical system and Swatantik Chitta Mantra, Madhyamika. So now Madhyamika philosophy, you see, one great Narada master, Robert Baker, he wrote a beautiful a text.
Different schools of thought in India.
At that time, all the existing different school of thought, all he mentioned, then make comparison. So, the Madhyamika philosophy, many Tibetan masters, you see, they follow Madhyamika philosophy. Then, as a student of that philosophy, I think over 60 years, I studied and practice or meditate. Now last 30, 40 years, more serious of a practice or meditate. So it really changed my emotion. Now today, I think these days, the attachment and anger almost gone, disappeared. So then, so result, not because my mind dull, not much feeling good or bad. No, remain very sharp mind, and a clear distinction. This is positive, this is negative, but never causing emotional damage. So that is the result of practice. Not just a few hours, a few months, or a few decades, really, you see, makes differences. But it is not easy. Firstly, you have to gain fuller knowledge about the system of emotion. Then the root cause of these negative emotions. Once we realize that, then the antidote, that root cause of these destructive emotions. Positive emotion, such as compassion, forgiveness, these not based on wrong view. Destructive emotion entirely based on wrong view. One my friend, one American scientist, he worked with people whose mind much disturbed, mainly anger. Not religious mind, religious people, person. He, through decades, he's sort of dealing with people who mentally some disturbed, mainly by anger. So he sort of take conclusion that when anger develops, the object which the person feels angry appears very negative, but actually the negativeness of that 90% are mental projection. That's exactly ancient Indian Nalanda tradition or Nalanda psychology mentioned that same. So now, if you really have sort of interest, then you should not follow some Japanese sort of practitioner or some Chinese practitioner. No need to study, just see, Buddhahood can be achieved through thoughtlessness meditation. That I think, according to Kamala Shila, the main disciple of Shanda Rishida. You see, he took sort of serious discussion with Chinese priest in 8th century or 9th century. So, see, sometimes I jokingly tell people, I feel, you see, the method to achieve Buddhahood, just thoughtlessness. Then the Buddhahood, through that kind of practice, the Buddha also not enlightened but dull Buddha. So, if you have some interest, study more. Mainly Nagarjuna's Madhyamika Mulakarika, the original Sanskrit available. And then Chandrakirti's Madhyamika Avatara. That text also you see available in Sanskrit. So study this. Then think. Not easy.
Your Holiness, my name is Viranjana Herath. I am from Sri Lanka. I am studying here as an international student, LLM, sponsored by Indian government. My question is, actually I am a follower of Buddhism. My question is, some countries such as Myanmar, also some extremes in Sri Lanka, when we majority as Buddhists, sometimes they attack to some minority other groups, especially in Rohingya Muslims. As a live Buddhist leader, what's your opinion about my Holiness?
That's totally wrong. When some Buddhists in Burma, some negative attitude or attack some Muslim in Burma. At that time, I was in Washington. So, when for the first time, I received that information through some media people. Then I immediately expressed, oh, this is very bad. Oh. So I think at the same period, the Time magazine, in front page, one Buddhist monk, and this guy, Buddhist journalist. So I express those Buddhists, I think should think Buddha's face. If Buddha comes at that moment, Buddha certainly helping protect those Muslims. No question. And Sri Lanka, some Hindus, some Buddhists, Hindus are negative. These are, I think, very narrow-minded. The very purpose of Buddhism is to combat your emotion. But then without depth of practice, the emotion remains intact. Then religion also becomes the instrument of that sort of emotion. So look, Shia and Sunni, and Syria, Iran, in this area. Genuine Islam, teaching, compassion. So my friend, the Muslim practitioner, they told me, genuine practitioner of Islam must extend love towards the entire creation of Allah. Wonderful. And then even if you say, any person who suppose Muslim community create bloodshed, then in reality no longer Islam practitioner. In Japan, for one's own religion, that is a better religion. Sometimes is saying something different. But I think, you see, these are the message of religion, not deeply observed Sure. Implemented.
Internalized.
Oh. So, absorbed, I think, teaching of any religion. You see, it must be part of your own life. You see, Buddhism, or including Buddhism, any religion, just remain intellectual level or a tradition. Then your raw emotion come. Then use name of that religion. So, frankly speaking, people, Muslim or Hindu or Jew or Buddhism, you see, they are sort of acting like slave of destructive emotion. Is actually not a genuine practitioner of these religions. Then we can say, definitely.
Good morning. My name is Aman. I'm a fourth year student. So I'm not sure if it's a question to be asked, but it's certainly a question that a lot of us confront sometime or the other. And I thought who better than to ask than the Dalai Lama himself. So what is the purpose of life?
I think you yourself should find what is purpose. I feel purpose of our life is happiness, joyfulness, because our life, there's no guarantee the future. From this afternoon, you see, there is no guarantee you will be happy or you will be successful. But it just, keep on hope. No matter how difficult days, even today some difficulties, still you keep hope. Oh, these difficulties will get over. There's no guarantee. So hope means something good. If someone who totally lost hope, then even suicide may take place. So therefore, purpose of our life can say happiness. So hoping something better, happiness. So therefore, hoping something positive. That's the basis of our survival. One more. So we can say happiness, joyfulness is our goal. Do you have some argument?
Who can argue with happiness?
So I had to ask your stance on non-intervention, especially considering the fact that India's intervention in Tibet led to the 62 war, as in was one of the causes of the 62 war, and thus destabilized peace of sorts. So, what is your stance on non-intervention in another country's affairs, especially considering the fact that, as in granting Tibetans asylum in Dharamshala, was one of the causes of the 62 war and thus destabilized peace? Should we intervene in another country's affairs?
I think anyone go extreme, and sometimes it is difficult. Without action, remain silent. That's also another extreme. So we have to follow our approach about Tibet issue. You see, we call middle way, not extreme either way. So similarly, I think your daily life, food, too much food, bad for your health. So remain hunger, also bad. So middle way. Everything middle way. So therefore, I think India's, one sort of internal sort of story. When government of India received information from the mission in Assam or in the government, Dalai Lama already sort of left and go towards India. So that information received in Delhi at a cabinet meeting. At that meeting, some cabinet member you see, express sort of caution if government of India allowed political asylum, Dalai Lama, it might be some sort of negative effect with relation with China. Then Pandit Nehru himself decided, no, we must give asylum to Dalai Lama. Like that. So these, yes, this is some, I think the government of India, if they give us asylum, for some irritation or some Chinese hardliner. Now China, today, Buddhist population in China, around 400 million people from China once deliberately destroyed temples or monasteries. As far as Tibet is concerned, around 6,000 monasteries, temples destroyed. Or I think a few 100,000, the rest are killed, like that. But now, you see the Buddhist faith rapidly reviving. So many Chinese came to see me. These days, every week, some Chinese from mainland China came to see me, number 10, 15, 20, like that, every week. When we met, always they tea, like that. So this water also, you see, some from mainland China. When we met, tea.
Last one.
Okay. So as I mentioned before, Chinese people are wonderful people. So these, I think, Chinese Buddhists, I think they are very much appreciate what government of India done, what people of India done. So some hardliner, yes, criticize. Even myself, visit Mongolia, and also now coming my visit to Arunachal, certainly the Chinese criticism come.
Yeah, thank you.
Gagan?
Yeah.
Last question. Come.
My name is Gagan. I'm a fifth-year student here. My question, so there is an increase in inward-looking conservative right-wing governments in the West, and that's been happening over the last few years. What do you think of that? Why do you think that's happening, and what do you think that the bearing that would have on the world order as it exists?
Conservative. What is the real definition of conservative? What's the definition?
So, more than I think I would look at the fact that the governments are inward-looking. They are trying to place domestic interests over international interests. There is a vilification of outsiders in a lot of places in Europe where there's a refugee crisis. In the US, where there is vilification of, say, Mexicans and African Americans. So, why do you think that's happening, and where do you think that's leading towards?
I think again, middle way. It's the only way to say national interest also important, but only national interest. Also, you see, each nation is part of the. Now, for example, the European countries. Each nation is part of Europe. Finally, part of the world. So there are individual national interests. Long run, they have to take care or take more seriously looking about world affairs. Short term, yes, their own national interest.
Yes.
I did that.
Oh, hello, sir. So my question is a quite spiritual one. You said that you should be able to identify the source of your happiness. But at times, how do you actually identify what is the source of your happiness? And if you identify it, if you adhere to it, and later on, when you're not able to be with it, then you get pain. So what do you do about that?
Very good question. I usually you see expressing to people.
animal also, you see, want happiness. But where the happiness much based on sensory experience. We human beings, we have this special brain. So we have the special ability to think and vision about future and also memory about past, much stronger than animal. So due to that, human being, as I mentioned earlier, the level of main towards the mind. So much richer that physical level, you see, all the facilities there looks very sort of luxurious of life. But in mental level, too much stress, too much worry, too much sort of unhappiness. So, on the other hand, the mental level, happy. The physical level, difficulties. Some of these sports people, I think they really sacrifice their hard work physical level. But in the mental level, they have sacrificed pain, so they never feel tiredness or something difficult, physical, uncomfortable physical. So we have the ultimate source of happiness is not sensory level, but mental level. Now mental level, there are different emotions. Sensory level, just because of the bring information. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, just to bring information. The real judgment comes from chitta, sixth mind, main consciousness. So therefore, now here, our brain, I think very sophisticated, but generally, I think very intelligent. Now, so intelligent brain sometimes bring unnecessary worry. So, and without a brain, intelligence, also you see, you may not know the reality. So you may pursue wrong way. Any method to achieve what you want must be realistic. In order to carry realistic work, you should examine the fact through not one dimension. Anger, these negative emotions, almost only one angle. But our intelligence have the ability to see any factor from 4 different angles or 6 as a dimension. Our intelligence has that natural ability. Now, use that. Sometimes only intelligence. Sometimes you see, also you see, can be more negative action. Some of these troublemakers on this planet, I think, as far as their intelligence is quite simple. How to bully other people, how to cheat other people, finally how to kill other people. So the intelligence is quite that. I mean, working, no? But lack of warm-heartedness. These very intelligent person, but full of hatred, they themselves unhappy person, like Stalin. I think end of their life, too much distrust, fear. Like I think to Prasad, that Libya Prasad. Gaddafi also, you see, some people you see say, each night, you see, he shifts his Oh, oh, okay, so consider. So such people never enjoy peaceful sleep. I enjoy 9 hours sleep. Quite intelligent, but lack of the warmth or compassion, or such a compassion. So, compassion brings self-confidence, and then combine our intelligence and warm-heartedness combined. Then you can be realistic, same time compassionate person. Then, firstly, you yourself be more happier, more peaceful. With these things there, your environment may be some negative, but you can maintain peace of mind. Then, naturally, with these inner quality, the reflection of these qualities, smile. And like you, lady, young lady, you see this beautiful face, and more smile. It's even better. Oh, you also have a beautiful face. Looking like that, it's not good. Isn't it? I always teach in Japanese when I give talk. Please, my friend, my brothers, sisters, please show more smile. In Japanese, more smile. So therefore, you see, smile, not artificial smile, or diplomatic smile. Genuine smile is the expression of warm-heartedness. That brings trust from others. That's the basis of friendship. So we are social animals. We need a friend. In order to create a friend, your warm-heartedness is the key factor, not money, not power. Isn't it? Politicians who have some power, I think short period, I think more friends. I think they themselves also see seeking something from that, exploit from that person. And the billionaire, when their fortune go this way, the more friend there. When their fortune go this way, there's no longer any friend. So genuine friend must be friend of human being. So particularly when you passing through difficult period, these friends is really necessary. So genuine friend, then ready to come help. Artificial sort of friend.
Life in National Law School will be more qualitative, much happier, and more contented. Now, that in one sentence sums up the motivation which you have given us this morning. We are grateful to you. It was Mahatma Gandhi who said, everyone says, let there be peace in the world, but no one says, let it begin with me. And this morning's benediction from you, we assure you, sir, peace will begin with us, and we will make the world a better place. Our credo from now onwards will be passion for what we do and compassion for whom we do. Passion for what we do and compassion for whom we do. And it will be compassion that will be transmitting the interests of customers to the university. When you spoke about inner values, we constantly tell our students that education is not just information, but formation. Formation of a complete human being. And we are grateful to you. And may I now request Professor T.V. Subbarao to propose the formal vote of thanks.
our beloved Vice Chancellor, Professor R.V. Rao, my learned colleagues on the dais, Professor Vijay Kumar, Professor Mallarji, is looking that side. Distinguished guests of the dais and my wonderful students. It is a rare privilege for me to propose vote of thanks. On this occasion, as you know that the tradition of National Law School of India University is that our vote of thanks or proposing vote of thanks is not mere a ritualistic formality. In fact, I wanted to summarize certain things, but our Professor R.V. Rao has summarized it in essence what our wonderful guest of today, His Holiness Dalai Lama, has stated. One or two things I am tempted to say. When we were preparing our program and a small banner to invite His Holiness, under his name it was written spiritual leader of Tibetans. That is what was stated. Myself and the Vice Chancellor we were discussing. I said, nay, entire world is not spiritual leader of Tibetans only, of entire world. Because the persons who reach spiritual heights and divine personalities like incarnate of Bodhisattva, a wonderful standing ovation. Pains to see that we receive this message today from His Holiness. So, special thanks to you people, sir. Thank you very much. And also,
we will have the group photo session in the quad. I request all of you to assemble very quickly. Okay.
Just cube me. Huh?
Please give some there.
She's your finest student.
Please. Please go ahead. Please.
Low.